You gonna help me out, baby? Yeah? You're not gonna annoy the birds, are you? You're just gonna go after the squirrels, right? Hey, everybody. I'm gonna start in a few minutes, but I'm setting things up. I just set up a different flash over here. Let me just zoom out. Um, but yeah, I got this flash here set up. Hey, David, how are you? I watched that guy, I forget his name, that you told me about. He set up a stick and put some food at the end of the stick, and then he would capture the birds flying off the stick. So um, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna have to put Ellie away because she's all over those birds and squirrels. I need to fill up the bird feeders, and then I put this flash over here uh, to fire up on this branch and tree, because a lot of times the birds will sit up in this branch and fly down to the bird feeders. uh, and it's a very cloudy day today, so uh, I can shoot at higher ISOs and get the shutter speed I need, but with using flash, I can get much nicer pictures. Now, I experimented only a little bit last night with this setup, and it seemed to work fine. So this is really going to be really my first attempt at doing this. I've never set up this flash over here, and I only experimented with this a little bit last night, and it seemed to work well. So I need to fill up the bird feeders here to kind of get them excited. I mean, the peak time for birding was a couple hours ago, but there's still a lot of birds around. Hopefully we'll get lucky. You can see them flying in there. Uh, but yeah, this stick here. So I thought I'd try something different today. So I'm going to finish setting up, uh, and then we'll get started. First of all, can everybody hear me okay? I hope the mic is working. It looks like it is. And you should be able to hear me when I walk all the way out there and come back. So let me go ahead and start setting everything up. I got the bird feeder in here, bird seed. And I'm debating if I should put some suit cakes in there. So I drilled a hole inside here. Hopefully you guys can hear me from all the way out here. But I drilled a hole into this stick so I can fill it with some seed. I'm going to fill this up and get some suit cake for the other one. Crap. But basically it's corn and sunflower seeds and then all these little mullet, I don't know. The pigeons like these small tiny ones. The bluebirds, most of the birds all love the sunflower seed, but that's expensive. So I just got a mix. But it looks like it's about 20%. If I had to guess, it's about 20% sunflower seed, which is just enough to get a lot of the bluebirds. And then the suit cake I'm going to put in is good for woodpeckers. So hopefully we'll get a couple of woodpeckers too. All right, now these are what they call high energy suit cakes. Let me see, a little bit overexposed here. This, when I started using this, I found that I was getting woodpeckers and things. Now, in the backyard, I normally see the red-bellied woodpeckers, maybe a downy woodpecker, and then there's one other, I forget the name of it, but it's a bigger one. It's not a pileated woodpecker, but it's a little bigger than the downy and the red bellies. I'm sorry, everyone. So welcome to the live stream today. What I'm going to be doing is I set up a couple flashes. I'm going to try this. Now, I tried one flash last night for the first time, and I'm going to add this second flash over here. This is the first time I'm setting that one up. And I'll be using my Olympus OM1 with a 300 f4, and this is the Godox trigger. Oh, I see a bluebird and a cardinal, some sparrows, etc. Anyway, let me turn this on. Let's do a test fire and see if they both fire. So, okay, the Godox V1 over here is firing, but I have an 8200 over here that's not. So let's it probably just went to sleep, right? And I think this flash over here, I might move it back a little bit so that it can fire in front of this to get better lighting, but also illuminate the branches on the tree up here. Okay, luckily it's not too windy today. If I'm gonna do this more often. Oh, there's a nuthatch up there. Now he's over here. He's a little bit more friendly. I bet I could almost feed him from my hand, but Ellie would probably run in and try and protect me. All right. Yeah, I tried using a bare flash yesterday, and the lighting was a little bit harsh. So Roberto's asking, is the soft light of the umbrella necessary? No umbrella works, bare flash, and you'll get more power, which is good for if you want to freeze the action by using a lower flash sinks or lower speed flash, a lower power flash setting. The flash will fire faster and freeze the action. But there's a lot of things I need to talk about when we set up flash. So I will address this with and without umbrella. I almost probably don't need it for this one here, but I wanted the light to spread to the front of the bird feeders and into the branches on the tree up here. So that's why I'm using the umbrella, to spread the light around. Because if I just use a bare flash, it's going to be too concentrated, and you know how you never know where the birds are going to be. Well, I guess we know they're going to be on the feeder, but sometimes they're going to be up in the branches. So I want the light to be able to illuminate both. And just in a subtle way. I don't need harsh light. I just need a little bit of fill light, really. And it being daytime, it's going to be hard to sort of crush the ambient light anyway, especially using umbrellas and these, very basic flashes, right? So I have the Godox V1 over here, and I have the FedEx truck, the Godox 8200 over here in the corner. You can just barely see. All right, so let me do another test fire. Okay, I can see him firing, and the flashes don't seem to bother the birds at all. Even when I was at night and it was just popping, it really didn't seem to bother them. Okay. I will try to identify the birds, Druid. I only know a few of them off the top of my head. Other ones I have to look up a lot of times. So I'll try to do my best. I may get it wrong though, so don't take anything I name here with a grain of salt. I recognize blue jays because they're blue. That's pretty easy, right? The cardinals because they're red and orange, and the red-winged blackbirds, and the house sparrows and house finches. Actually, I know quite a bit. I mean, for me, right? I might know a dozen birds that I see in the backyard here. Yeah, TT350, you'll be okay. Bare flash probably be better though if it's cloudy out, and you'll be at full power. And the other thing is the recycle times might not be quite as fast. So I use the Duracell rechargeables. The recycle times are very fast when I use those particular rechargeable batteries. I'll show them to you. I mean, the recycle times are like 1 or 2 seconds instead of 7 to 8 seconds that I used to get with like the antelope type. But it's this one. The green with a copper top. These recharge or recycle the Godox TT350 the fastest of all the batteries I've tried. And not by just a little bit, by a lot. I mean, a lot faster. Okay, so again, here's my setup. What is it? A 300 f4 OM1, the Godox Pro trigger. Oh, you can almost see the settings on here. So let me talk. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to take a couple of test shots and look at the lighting at different flash powers and see what works best. Also, I'm going to put the camera into manual mode. Let me put a cap on this lens. All right. So I'm going to put the camera into manual mode. Let me see if I can share the screen here. All right, so I'm in manual mode, as you can see, 1/250th of a second at f4. I'm going to crank this up to f8 just so I have some wiggle room, and I'll explain why. And then also I have the bird detect on, as you can see from the top icon. But I'll show you. Bird detect is on, and looking at the super control panel, I have all points selected, natural color, continuous AF, continuous mechanical shutter, spot metering. I should probably change that to center. There we go. Let's try that. Face detect off. And we can ignore the EV meter because we are using flash. And let's start with ISO 400 and see how that works. And then I'll explain these settings for you. So, oh, there's a blue jay on the stick already. Let's do a test shot and see how it comes out. It's a little dark. I'm looking at the histogram. So what I need is to lower the aperture or increase the ISO, right? So let's try lowering the aperture. One stop. And see. Yeah, that looks good. All right. Isn't that awesome? Now what I'll do is I'm going to turn the flash off. And I'm just turning it off with the button here on the side here. And I'm going to see what the exposure looks like without flash. Oh, he left. But let's see. So that's without flash. That's with flash. Okay, so you see the stick, see the lighting on the stick here? That's with flash. And then this is without flash. So I think that's about right. And I didn't, well, some of the feathers are blown out a little bit. So what is the solution here? Either I moved the flash back a little bit, or he came back. Let's do a shot here without flash. Gosh, without flash, it's looking pretty good too. But let's turn the flash on. Let's see how we do. Yeah, it's blown out a little bit there, isn't it? So a couple of solutions, right? Is I can move the flash back a little bit and increase the power. So what I can do is I can move the flash further back, but I'll have to increase the power to get the same amount of light. But when the flash is further back, the lighting will be a little bit more even across the bird. The shadows might be a slight bit harsher because the point of light will become smaller as I move it away. But I think the more even lighting, because when you have a flash very close to your subject, the lighting is very strong, then falls off, right? But the further you pull the flash away from the subject, the less the light falls off, meaning it's more graduated, right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move the flash back, so it's going to be way out of frame. Man, look at all those birds on that feeder now. It's a shame to, it'd be a shame to, look at that. So I think those are sparrows. Yeah, that's a song sparrow on the top left. I think that's a house sparrow below it. And those are house finches. The red birds, those are house finches. And then the soot feeder, usually that's where I get the woodpeckers. And then on the stick, I got nothing, but there's my 8200 with the umbrella. And you can see it's relatively close to the stick. So I'm going to move it back to see if I can distribute the light out a little bit. So give you that perspective if I can. Focus out there. Finch or nuthatch. Seem to mind me this close. I could almost use a kit lens. About 4. Make sure this is, I'll need to point this up a little bit more. Well, no, not really. I think I'll be okay. Because that way, if any birds land down here, they'll get illuminated as well if I get any birds on the grass. Okay, so they all flew away. And this one, I'm going to turn this, I'm going to put this one back a little. Okay. All right, so focus on me, camera. No, face detect, anything. I'm using the M10 Mark II to live stream as I always do. All right, so you can see I moved this flash. Well, now it's out of frame completely. But let's give the birds a couple minutes to get back on, and I'll talk about the my setup a little bit more and settings. Someone asked me, Druid asked me, am I in shutter priority mode? No, I am in manual mode. So as you can see on the bottom left, there's an M. So I'm in manual mode at 1/250th, which is the maximum sync speed, f5.6, and I'll explain that. And then there's all the other settings, right? ISO 400. So let's do a test shot of the stick and see if I have enough light anymore. Yeah, see how the lighting's not quite as harsh, but the histogram's a little bit low, but that's okay because when the bird goes in there, the bird will be probably at the right exposure. So I'm at, so this flash, where is it? This flash, my 8200 is at 1/4 power. And the stick is probably about 3 meters away. That this guy right here. So let me take a picture without flash and just see how it looks. Again, it's always change the setting and test it. and then compare it against the ambient light. So that's ambient, that's with flash. So the flash is just adding a little bit of fill light. I probably need a little bit more power. So I'm going to change flash B, which is the 8200, to, I was at, and I'm just doing it on the switch here. See if I can show you without any glare. I'm just doing it here on the switch, so I'm selecting flash B. I changed it from 1/4 power to, now you can see, hopefully it says 1/2 power. And I'll work with flash A, which is the other one over there on the left side, after I get the main flash, at the exposure I want. So let's see, that was a test shot. So that's at 1/2 power. Okay, that's better. The highlights might still get blown out, but we'll see. When a bird actually lands on there, we'll be able to tell. All right, now let's work with, where did it go? There, let's work with this flash here. Right now it's set at 1/128 power, which is definitely not going to be enough. So what I'll do is, I'm going to select channel A, or group A, which is what I have that flash on. And I'm going to start at 1/2 power with that one because it's a smaller flash, so it doesn't have as much light output. Let's see how it illuminates the, let's do a shot without flash first and see how it goes. All right, so without flash, I almost have enough light at these settings, but you can see the birds are in shadow. Let's try with flash. And take a look. With, yeah, it's hardly doing anything. Is it firing? Let me double check. Yeah. Why wasn't it set to 1/2? Somehow it went back to, oh, okay, I understand. Sorry. When I turned the trigger off and turned it back on, it went back to 1/128 for some reason. So let's try again. So we're definitely at 1/2 power. Oh yeah, that's better. That's with flash, without flash. So I can probably cut it back a little bit. Also, the top of the bird feeder is blown out. So what I can do is I need to reduce the ambient light a little bit more. So I can either do that by, let's increase the aperture to f8, do another shot and see if it gets blown out again. Okay, that's a little better. So that's before, that's after. Before and after. So the flash, yeah, the flash looks good. Let's check the histogram just for grins. So when you look at the histogram, you see on the far right where there's a little line, very short line there. That's probably the top of the bird feeder, which is causing the histogram to have that little spike there. And a bird should be about mid-tone. So I think this would be okay. Oh yeah, thanks, Lysippus. A tripod. I know. What I was thinking though was that I might have to hold this up and do things back and forth. Oh, a blue jay's landed on the stick there. Let's get him. So what I have to do is I have to go back to F5.6 because that's what the setting is for this side. Let's see how we did. See how the feathers are not blown out now? And that's because I moved the flash further back, but I had to increase the power, obviously, by one stop. But the light is spread out a little bit more evenly now. So let's see if we can get him with his head up. Oh, if I can't use Pro Capture, unfortunately, with flash. Let's see how we did. There we go. We got one with his head up. That's looking pretty awesome. And I'm going to take one without flash, just so you can see the difference. Turn that. Oh, of course, now he's gone. Oh, there's one up there. He's up here now. Or a different one is. That's with flash. Because, he's come back over here. So let's see. That's without flash. Actually, that looks pretty good without flash. And then this one was with flash. And then let's go over to the one without flash. So if I look at the stick, sorry, I'm experimenting while we're live here. I might need just a little bit more power. Is it still firing? Yeah. Let's try a little more power. 2 of them on there. Let's see what we got. Oh, I didn't get lucky and catch them flying off. Still a bit blown out. So let me turn the power down just a notch. Dang it. It's a little bit blown out. One more time. All right, very good. Still not great though. So let me try a higher aperture. Oh, he left. There's a bird up here. That's a northern, or it's a nuthatch. I forget which one. Let's see how we did. No, he's on the wrong side of the feeder. So what I need to do is move this unit closer. Or I'm sorry. Oh, the Blue Jay's back. Let's try this one more time. See how we're doing. Looking good. Let's give it a little more juice. Okay, there's that time. That's no flash. That's with flash, because the flash didn't recycle fast enough. So that's no flash. That's with flash. I think that looks better. Okay, let's check the histogram. I like it. I like the histogram. It's mostly dark. Let me increase the power of flash A, which is the one on the left, to full power and see what happens. Yeah, that's looking better. See the little catch light in the bird's eye? That's what I want. That's what you get with flash anyway. Most of the time on a cloudy day. All right. Let's try these guys. How's our exposure here? Oh, it looks a little flashy, doesn't it? I don't like how that looks too much. So what I want to do is balance the ambient light a little bit more. So that's going to be a common problem, right? Is you're using flash, but then it looks like a shot taken with flash. So you have to balance. What I have to do is try and balance the ambient light a little bit more. Wow, it just lit up here. All of a sudden, you can tell from because I'm using manual on this webcam. So I have to be able to balance the ambient light a little bit more so it looks more natural, but still get enough fill light from the flash. So I have a couple of options, right? I can, but the light's always changing. But assuming the light doesn't change, right? I can always reduce the aperture and reduce the flash power. So that way the brightness of the flash won't change, but the ambient light will be brighter by lowering the aperture. Lowering the aperture will make the flash brighter and the ambient light brighter at the same time. So if I lower the aperture by one stop, I need to lower the flash power by one stop, assuming I have the amount of light that I want from the flash. But then I'll be raising the ambient light by one stop because I lowered the aperture by one stop, which if you don't use flash, that makes sense, right? But with flash, not every setting affects the light output of the flash. For example, shutter speed, because the other option to change ambient light is to adjust my shutter speed. So instead of changing flash power and aperture to increase the ambient light, I could just lower my shutter speed all by itself, and that won't affect the flash light. That will only affect the ambient light. So thinking it through, maybe that's probably a better way to do it. And there was a question about the flash freezing motion blur. In this scenario, it won't do it because there's just too much ambient light. What I would have to do is set up some very powerful high-speed sync flashes so I can increase my shutter speed, up to like 1/2000th of a second, whatever it would take to crush all of the ambient light, and then use the high-speed sync flashes to freeze the action. I think that would work. I have to do that in another video because I have a more powerful flash in the house, the 8400. I might be able to do it with this one, but I'm almost at full power already. So going to high-speed sync would reduce that quite a bit. So I won't be able to do it today. But that's how you would do it. Is you could reduce. You could use more powerful flashes at a lower power, crush the ambient light so that the only light hitting the bird will be from the flash, which will freeze the action. But because there's so much ambient light and my shutter speed is so low at like 1/250th, maybe I'll go down to 1/180th, the ambient light is going to have motion blur in it. So it's not going to look good. All right, I hope that all makes sense. Let's see. Now that it's a little brighter, actually, what's going on down here? See how it looks now. Oops. See how that came out. See how that looks a little more natural because the ambient light is brighter as opposed to this shot, which looks a lot like a flash. And then this one is a little bit more natural. God, it's almost full sun now. What the heck? All right, that's a sparrow, I believe. And blue jays. Oops, where'd the blue jay go? He's down on the ground. I almost don't even need flash now because the ambient light's so good. That's looking good. And we're at full power on A, quarter power. Let's go half power on B. Now, if I'm lucky, one of these will fly off. But I just don't have Pro Capture, so I'm going to have to be quick on the trigger. Oh, there's a red-winged blackbird up on the feeder now. Let's see how that looks. It's okay. I doubt I'll get one in flight. It's almost impossible without Pro Capture. This guy's chewing on a sunflower. All the birds love sunflowers. Oh, let's see how this looks. There's two of them now. Let me see. Did I get one in flight? Nope. Too slow. Okay, so you can see the flash didn't recycle fast enough. There's with flash. I'm sorry, there's with flash, without flash. So let's punch in. That looks pretty good though. It's a little bit flashy though, but that's okay. Look at the detail. My God, I love that. It's amazing. Oh, you get our ugly starlings, Roberto? The starlings are beautiful birds, actually. They're very colorful, I think. And I like the crackles with the yellow eyes, the common grackle. I mean, the most boring bird ever is like these song sparrows. Actually, this is not a sparrow. This is a, well, it might be. I'd have to look it up on my chart. Oh, total miss. All right. See how we did there? Yeah, I missed. But there's one. Where's my flash power at? 1/2. See if we can get one flying. I'm never fast enough, but I'll try. We'll wait for him. No, he's not going to fly off. He's just having. There we go. Let's see if we got one that time. Oh, is that? This is a card. No, that's. Let's see if we got one flying off. Probably don't have enough light though. I can't see it. There's the second one came in. No. I was too slow again. Actually, there he is flying. But the flash didn't fire and my shutter speed's way too slow. So there's just no way that's gonna happen. Oh, what's that up there? Is that? Oh, that's a blue jay. Now this is where I think any camera's going to struggle with, even with subject detect, is there's a blue jay back there. There's a bunch of sticks in front of them. So what I'd probably do is manually focus. Let's see if I can do that. Come on. That manual focus. Hold on. Let's do. I don't have my manual focus settings right, but let's try it. Oh, he's gone now. But that's what I would do, is I would try and manually focus. But he's gone. All right. Couple blue jays down here. Let's take a look. I'll check my flashes. Yeah. All right. Ooh, nice. Love these little house finches with the red color. Going through a little bit of a drought here. It's only one bird. The woodpeckers haven't found the suit cake yet. No, there's plenty of food in there. Ooh. Ooh, let's see if I got him. Oh, too slow again. All my bird and flight shots, that I do in my backyard, they're all using Pro Capture. No, I'm not using silent shutter. Although I could. The OM1, you can do silent shutter up to 1/100th of a second. See how it changed? Watch. This is mechanical shutter. I'm at 1/250th. Now the beauty of this is that technically my exposure should not change on the flash, only the ambient light, which will be brighter. So there, I took a picture in silent mode. Okay, and then I'll take one with mechanical shutter so you can see the difference. So that's with mechanical shutter. Because the shutter speed is higher, I get less ambient light, but the flash power shouldn't change. And then this is with silent shutter. And you can see it let a lot more ambient light in, maybe too much. So what I'd have to do, I'm off by about 1 1/3 stop difference between mechanical shutter and silent shutter. So what I'd have to do is I can probably just lower my ISO down to 200 and get it roughly the same exposure. So we'll try again. That was silent shutter shot. Yeah, that's better. Of course, by lowering the ISO, I have to increase my flash power now. So I'm going to increase. Okay, so I'm at full power now. Let's see. Oh, he's gone. But just looking at the stick, yeah. So the stick has a little bit more light on it than before, I think. All right. A little bit of a lull here on the bird side. So let me look at the chat section, see if I can answer some questions. And we'll give the birds. As soon as I set my camera down, like a bunch of birds come in. Anyway, Coffee Chiller says, if I may ask, I'm using M5 Mark III with Pro Capture low, and I get slow refresh rate on the viewfinder as soon as I press the shutter halfway to track focus. Is that normal? Yes, that is normal. And the M5 Mark III does not have an additional setting where you would normally be able to use a fast refresh rate on the EVF. So you're pretty much stuck with what it has. Oh, red-winged blackbird just landed on the stick. Let's see if we can get him. Oh, he just flew off. Did I get him? Nope, I missed him. He flew off. Dang it. And we still have flash, right? Yeah. All right. Oh, he's back. So that's silent shutter. Let's see how that looks. It's way too dark. And I'm at full power on flash. So what are my options? Either higher ISO and lower aperture. So let's try that. Okay, better. Kind of overdid it though. So what I'll do is let me go back to 400. How are we doing now? Yeah, much better. A little bit overblown there. So let's go back to mechanical shutter because we're just letting too much ambient light in, I think. Let's try that. Yeah, that's better. Sorry, I was just reading chat. See how that looks. Too much light. So let's go to F8. Of course, he's gone now. Yeah, looking good. A little bit flashy, but that's okay. Oh, the blackbird's back. Let's see how we did that time. So I need less aperture. Let's try a stop. Oh, there's a cardinal. That's a female cardinal right there. So the male cardinals can't be far. Yeah, there's one. There's a male cardinal and a female. Let's take take a look. Let's increase the aperture back to f8. Sometimes I wonder if I'm just making this too hard. So let's let the camera do all the work on the flash. So I'm going to set them both to TTL and see what happens. Because ambient light is just changing constantly here. Why not? Okay, TTL on A, TTL on B, and I can't see my screen. Hold on. Sequential mechanical. Let's see what happens with just TTL flash. Ooh, it's a little bit strong, isn't it? So let me reduce my, let me let some more ambient light in. So I'll reduce the aperture. No luck, probably. I might have got one. Let's see. Did I get one of these guys in flight? Oh, a little bit, but my shutter speed is just not cutting it. Did the flash freeze any of that? No, not really. Oh, because the flash probably didn't fire. Let's see what else we got. Oh, I'm back to the beginning. All right. Oh, Blue Jay. I love these Blue Jays. He is digging that cake there, isn't he? Let's see how the TTL is doing. Whoops. TTL is doing a good job. I don't know why I'm making it so hard. So the only thing I would do is maybe just dial in a tiny bit of negative flash comp because it is blowing out the highlights a tiny bit. So how would I do that? Let's see. I think I can do it here. Let's pull back one stop like so and see what happens. That's right. Oh, let's see. Yeah, that looks better, I think. Because what was happening before, right? This is with no flash exposure comp. It was just blowing out some of the highlights. So I dialed the flash exposure comp to -1, and now it's a little better. See the face is not blown out. All right. So the goal today would be, oh, there's a nuthatch. You guys haven't seen this yet. See, there's a nuthatch right there. He's a cool looking bird. No chance of getting that in flight. Let's see. Beautiful bird. Small, but really pretty. All right. Oh, there's a cardinal on the stick. Oh no, freaking sparrow. Let's see how we're doing here. Yeah, that looks good. Oh, there's a common grackle up in the tree there, but I can't get him. He's behind all those sticks. Oh, there was a cardinal right there. And this is what I've been doing all week. Just setting up the bird feeder and taking pictures. And I'll end up with like probably 3,000 shots in about. Oh, sometimes I can do it in 10 minutes. Sometimes I sit here for a couple of hours and I'll get like 3,000 shots. And then I'll end up with like 5 or 6 that I think are worth sharing at least. And then I just delete everything else. Um, Anyhow, any questions about the setup here? I know it's kind of haphazard way of explaining everything live on the go. I should really do a video where I do it step by step and explain everything. And I might do that if you guys are interested. But I need to get some decent shots first, right? Because it's like I can show all these crappy shots, then show you a video on how to take crappy shots, right? I don't want to do that. But I think that the principle or the theory is sound, right? Is using flash as a fill flash, either in TTL mode like I just did, and just doing exposure comp on the TTL side, not the exposure side, and then or just controlling things manually. But unfortunately, what I learned today is the lighting is changing so fast at times that it's better just to use TTL and then do exposure comp on the TTL to get the exposure I want. Now, if I was in high-speed sync where I had more control over shutter and shutter speed, I could probably do uh, like freezing the action type shots. Or if it's a little darker, but we'll see. Natural light is the best, though. My favorite shots when it's really sunny in the morning, like about right now it's around between 7 and 8 a.m. The sun hits the bird feeder just right. And I sit on the other side back there. I don't know if you've seen some other videos where I have a chair over there. I'm sitting on the chair now, but I'll move it out back to the other side of the bird feeder because the light comes in from that direction in the morning. And then in the evenings, I'll sit on this side like where I am now because the sun hits the birds this way. But today there's no sun at all. So that's why I'm using flash, is so I can get the catch light, I can get some nice fill light, uh, and the shadows created by the flash add, more contrast and more detail, right? I mean, you can see more detail in the bird when you have shadows created by the flash. And I'm using the umbrella to soften that light because using a bare flash, the lighting was a little bit harsh when I was messing with it last night. Okay. I don't see any other questions. If anyone has any questions, let me know. How are we doing on time? It's about an hour. Maybe that's enough. If there's no other questions. Um, this was tricky setting everything up here for outside. I wasn't even sure if my Wi-Fi was going to reach from in the house to out here, but thankfully it looks like it's working. Just checking. Ooh, there's a cardinal up on a branch there. Let me get him. see if the flash is doing its job. Oh, not really. Let me adjust the exposure comp higher. Oh, this is where TTL is just not cutting it. So I'm going to go back to manual. Hopefully he stays there. I'm going to change the flash modes back to manual. Let's try that. Oh, not good. Well, if he was still there, it would have been a nice shot. But look what happened over here. Crash. Because I didn't use I don't have sandbags. Just the smallest breeze. Hopefully it's okay. Yeah, I need to mow the lawn, that's for sure. Oh, I hope I didn't break my 8200. No, I still see the light on. But the umbrella is toast. Oh. Yeah. So I always buy like the cheapest umbrellas. I think I only paid like $10 for those. But it served me well. Oh. Yeah, the birds are there's still plenty of birds around. They're just on my neighbor's feeder instead of mine right now. So what I need to do, actually, I need to move this other flash that's over there further back, because from this last shot, right, that I took, it's too close and it's in the frame. So I'm going to move this back and see what happens. All right, let's try another shot. Yeah, that's better. Because if you look at the previous shot, I had it too close. So this is better. Sometimes the helicopters will fly right over me. And this 300 millimeter is too tight. I can't get the whole helicopter in the frame. That's how low they fly. Seriously, they're probably not even 100 meters, like 100 yards over my head sometimes. How far away am I from the bird feeders? If I had to guess, I'd say, oh, the birds are coming back. I can count it off. My feet are pretty accurate, actually. 1, 2, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay, so I would say about 35 feet from the bird feeders, which is what, 10 meters, 12 meters roughly. Okay, we'll give the birds a minute. Phil's asking, would a monopod? Yeah, definitely, it would work better. Trying to think. Yeah, monopod would be ideal. It's certainly. I mean, personally, I like to hand hold the camera because this setup is not that heavy, right? Um, but when you're out for a couple of hours holding this, a monopod would definitely help. So if you're going to be out all day, I would recommend the monopod. Um, but just sitting here for an hour, 2 hours, I can hand hold this. And monopods are a little bit rough when the birds are in flight. Like if you're out in the field and you're trying to track them as they're flying across the sky, um, it's not ideal. Now I know they got these monopods with like the swivel heads, and then they got the tripod with those fancy swiveling type things. You know, you can do that. Those are a few $100s if you want to go really fancy. Because I've seen them out in the field. I forget what they call them. They call them gimbals, I think, where you can swivel your camera in any direction on a tripod. That would be better for birds in flight and things. And monopods are good mainly for, I mean, you can do birds in flight with it, but it's harder when they go up over your head if you have a monopod, unless you have one of those really fancy swivel things on it. I don't know what they're called, but like I said, this is a light enough setup that I can always go out for a couple hours handheld, and the image stabilization is really good, so it's never really been an issue for me. Yes, usually they're black helicopters. U.S. Army is what I usually see when they're all black like that. And then the red ones are Coast Guard. They usually come in the evenings when they're done coasting the coast, I guess. And then during the day, usually what I see are like the U.S. Um, the president's helicopter, right? Um, oh, sirens. What is it this time? Another fire truck. Ellie loves those things though. Oops, why did I lose picture? Sorry about that, the battery died. Give me a second. Okay, sorry about that. Um, which also means that I'm almost out of laptop battery power too. 1 second. Should I still consider EM1 Mark II? Yes, because of the Pro Capture, right? The Pro Capture helps a lot. I did a lot of shooting yesterday with the M5 Mark III, which is pretty much the same thing as the M1 Mark II. And while it's not as good as the OM1, clearly, right, in terms of capturing the birds and autofocusing, I still get really good shots with it. What I do is I set it up for group point, and sorry, my neighborhood is just so loud. I don't know if you can hear the ambulances now going by with the fire truck, and then now Allie's howling. Let me get my EM5 Mark III, which is the same as the M1 Mark II in terms of settings, and I'll show you what I mean. I'll be right back. All right, so let's see my settings here. Manual mode. Let's go to mechanical shutter. Do I have it in there? Oh, I don't have mechanical shutter. Oh, there's one. Okay, flash is on. Shutter speed is at 1/250th. F4. All right, let's do a test shot. There we go, nice. So how'd that come out? Pretty good. And he's not looking at me. Ellie! Ellie's over there. Ellie, come here. The birds are very skittish around her. There we go. So what am I using? Single point? Yeah, single point. And spot metering. Whew. Way too bright. Let's change the metering. Center weighted. And we're at full power for some reason. Let's go back to half power. Looks like the nuthatch is back. No. I think that's a mockingbird maybe. I don't know. My dying eyes, I can't tell from here. See how that looks? Oh, that's a sparrow. Yeah. Okay, there's another sparrow. Come on, look at me. Yeah, now that it's cloudy out. Oh, she's poor Ellie. She's checking out the squirrel. There's a squirrel up here. That's why she's all over this tree. See, because of that squirrel. He's making a little home up there, isn't he? He's gonna come up here. Oh, he's hiding. All right, let's see. Is that a cardinal? Yeah, beautiful. Oops, too bright. What happened that time? Why were those last two shots too bright? Because this was perfect. Oh, out of focus. Dang it. So I got the exposure right, but then it's... Let me change my... I can't see the focus points when I'm looking through the viewfinder because I have it here on the live stream. Let me expand it a little bit. Maybe that'll help. This is typically how I shoot with the EM5 Mark III. Is I have my focus point set to the five point, and then If I'm using flash, obviously my shutter speed and aperture is this, but if I'm not using flash, typically, yeah, my shutter speed is 1/3000 at 4, and I warmed up the flash, the white balance for flash on this camera, but I can reset those back to 0. I'll turn off eye detect, and then pro capture low, continuous autofocus. So these are my typical settings for doing birding when I'm not using flash. So if the birds come back, Ellie, come here. she is on that squirrel, man. It's up here. There he is. Ellie is Ellie's a mountain cur, which are bred for treeing or chasing critters up a tree. They're bred for that. So she can't help herself, really. Uh, the other thing she can't help herself with are treats. Ellie, you want a treat? Come on. Come on, let's go. Let's see. Come on. Come on. All right. Anyway, hopefully the birds will come back without her there. What was I talking about? So does the OM1 AF work or not? Yes, it's awesome. I was just using the EM5 Mark III just now, so the AF was a little bit off sometimes because I can't. When I have the camera hooked up to the live stream, I can't see the focus points in the EVF like you guys can when I'm doing it. So I expanded the focus points a little bit. But yeah, the AF is awesome. And I did a lot of testing this week with stills photography and face detect, right? Walking back and forth, running back and forth. I did that for video, which seems to be working fine now. But I did it for stills also with single shots at different. I did about 20 shots that way, and then I did hundreds of shots with continuous autofocus and continuous shutter at 20 frames per second with the 25 millimeter f1.8, and the hit rate wasn't great, but a lot of that has to do with the lens. I don't know why, but the 25 f1.8, whenever I use one of my older primes, my hit rate's not very good. But when I use my 12 to 40 Pro, the hit rate is much better. So I didn't want to publish or talk about anything until I narrow down what the problem is, whether it's the lens itself, like I have to use pro lenses to get good results, or if it's some setting I'm doing wrong when I have the 25 f1.8 lens on there. So I'm not quite ready to talk about the stills photography face detect on the OM1. But my initial impressions are it's really good, but I want to be able to quantify that, right? With actual numbers. And it seems like once the camera acquires focus, and this is when I was using the 25 millimeter prime, once the camera acquires focus, so for example, if I'm running from one spot to another, point A to point B, let's say it's about 30 feet or 10 meters distance, it takes several frames, 8 to 10 frames before it locks onto my face. And then once it locks onto my face, say the next 20 frames, maybe 3 or 4 will be out of focus, but the rest will be in focus. So I might take a frames of like 60 to 80 shots in 3 or 4 seconds when I traverse that 30, 10 meters or 30 feet. The first, so it'll look like 15, 20 shots out of 60 out of focus, but really it's only the first 8 to 10 that are out of focus, mainly because it hasn't acquired the face detect yet, and that's because I'm pretty far back in the frame. I'm less than 1% of the frame, so I want to be able to analyze a little bit more of my results, so I can talk about uh, how to acquire focus. And again, I was just using remote shutter. Um, it's not the same, because when I hand hold an autofocus, I get virtually 100% hit rate. No problems. But when I'm doing it sort of the way I was testing it, it wasn't that great. And I think that's mostly due to my testing methodology. So, um, but I can tell you the bird detect, animal detect, whether it's video or um, stills, high speed shutter, pro capture, all of that. It's freaking amazing. It's really, really amazing. I mean, the hit rate is so high. Like if I take 100 shots, 3 or 4 might be out of focus. Uh, the first 3 to 10 shots will be out of focus because it may not acquire focus right away, but once it gets it, 3 or 4 out of 100 might be out of focus at that point. Your ND filter on OM1 at AF scared me a bit. Looking for an alternative. Oh, okay, yeah. I did test again with the ND filter on the continuous AF. I didn't show it in that video that I did where I kind of fixed, supposedly it's all fixed now. But I did test again, and I do have that footage that I'll use for a later video. But I wasn't having any problems at all with the ND filter at this point. It was only on that day I was having autofocus problems on everything. ND filter, no ND filter. And, I attributed it to possibly the lighting conditions because, I talked about it in the second video. I'm just kind of waiting for a nice day, right? It's been cloudy, and it's going to be cloudy the next 3 or 4 days. Now, I had some sun the last couple of days, and that's when I went out with the ND filter and tried it. And it was working perfectly fine with the ND filter. And I dialed in at least 2 stops on the variable ND filter. So it seems to be an issue on that day that I made that other video, not an issue with using ND filters. But if you want a definitive answer, I can't give you one right now, unfortunately, because I just don't have the lighting conditions consistently enough to test an ND filter scenario. So as over the next week or two, as I get a sunny day and the time to do it, I will be testing continuous autofocus with ND filters and polarizer for that matter. So stay tuned for that. I can't give you a definitive answer now, other than to tell you that the last time I tried it on a sunny day that I did not publish online, it worked fine with the ND filter. The birds are returning. Yes. How to cut out. I'm sorry. I thought I saw a question about cutting ambient light. Basically, cutting ambient light means using flash, right? Because if you're going to cut ambient light, but you still want to get light, you're going to use flash, right? And you do that by increasing shutter speed, increasing aperture, just like you would with any exposure. And then you supplement using flash, right? So a good example would be, no, I might be able to show you while we're doing this. Somebody said the birds are returning. I see one. Oh, I see a bluebird up in the tree. Let's see. Let's see if the flash is still fire. Yep. All right. switch over to here. Now I got the EM5 Mark III right now. I got to cut this one branch away so I can see the damn birds in the tree. So there's a cardinal right there. Okay, the nuthatch is back. I bet my tree stump is empty. That's why there's no birds on it. But all right, let's see. I have a bunch of sparrows here. Let me just do a quick shot. Oh, I'm in silent mode. Pro capture. Hold on. Let the buffer clear out. So let's go back to a mechanical shutter. Now we have flash on. So max sync speed is so here is Roberto's question, right? So here let's just do a shot real quick. So that was with flash, right? And you can see the background ambient light is pretty dark. Let me turn the flash off. So if we compare with flash, without flash, see the ambient light is much brighter without flash than with flash. But what if I want to make the ambient light even darker, right? All I have to do is increase my aperture. And I'm in full manual mode. Let me hide this question so we can see the screen. Let's go back to the 1/250th, just so the sync speeds mesh. Now, if I take the same picture, right? Oh, what am I, an auto ISO? Yeah, that's why, sorry. Let's fix the ISO to 200. All right, so now the ambient light is completely crushed, right? It's totally underexposed. So now I want to add the flash back in. So I'll turn my trigger on. Flash A, flash B. Let's see if I have enough power from the flash now. Just a little bit. So that's with flash, without flash. And you can see the ambient light has not changed other than the little bit of spillover from the flash because I'm using an umbrella. So what I need to do is I'm going to lower my aperture one stop. Let's see how that looks. All right, there we go. And then I can lower the aperture down another stop. And now the ambient light's coming back in. So it looks like I need to be at least 5.6. And you can see the EV meter says -3. That's pretty good. So the ambient light is underexposed by 3 stops. And the flash should fill in the gap. So crushing ambient light it takes a little practice, but you do it with aperture and shutter speed. Since I'm at the max shutter speed at 1/250th with the sync, without using high-speed sync, I'm stuck with that. But you could also raise the shutter speed, and then of course adjusting ISO up and down. So if you want to crush the ambient light, take one shot without flash and get it dark enough to the point that you're comfortable with. Like if you want it completely black, then I would probably need to use a higher aperture, right? But I got it down to about -3 stops underexposed, the ambient light. And then I just use flash to fill in the light where I want it to be, in this case on the bird feeder. And if I do a shot like that, theoretically I should be able to freeze action at this point because the ambient light is gone. And I won't get any blur from the ambient light because my shutter speed is so slow, 1/250th for birds. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, basically, yeah, increasing flash power. Um, oh, I misread your question. How are you cutting ambient sound? Um, Ambient sound, the trick to sound is making sure your microphone is as close to the source, in this case my mouth, as possible to cut the ambient sound around me. Because then now my voice is the dominant sound relative to the ambient noise. So if that's what your question is you need the microphone as close to the source as possible. Because if I move the microphone away, all right, now the microphone is what? Arm's length away. You're probably picking up more ambient noise at this point. Uh, Even though I have the mic pointed right at me, it's an omnidirectional mic, so it shouldn't matter which direction I'm pointing it at. But you'd be lucky if you can even hear me. Versus, if I put the microphone right up to my voice, I would imagine the ambient sound is now gone, even though I can't hear it myself because I don't have headphones on. But that's that's the basic idea of cutting ambient sound. Now, if you're post processing for a video, you would use noise filters and noise reduction techniques and things like that. Um, but just live like this, that's the only way I can do it. Okay. The bird activity is really slowed down. So I think I'll call it here if there's no other questions. Hopefully you enjoyed this. A little bit different for me to do this live in my backyard. You should see this train wreck on my desk here. I don't know if I can show you. But I got this long extension cord going back to my house. There's power bricks everywhere, um, power banks, and then the cameras and my switcher and my laptop, and of course the soot. Oh, there's a cardinal coming. But yeah, for the most part, oops. Um, for the most part, the birds are gone. There. And we will call it there. So thanks everybody for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed this. I know it's very sporadic because I had some technical issues here and there, but if you want me to do these kind of videos again, just let me know in the comments below if you like these live type streams outdoors. Um, I can try. Right? If you guys like it. If not, it's okay. I'll just do my normal Sunday streams where we jibber jabber about stuff. But either way, I appreciate you guys being here. It's good to see everyone. And I will catch you back most likely on Sunday. I will try. So thanks again for joining me.